Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming. This is the roundtable discussion for the movie Heart of Man. And we're going to have a great time jumping into a lot of dialogue. But I figure we start with just introducing each one of you, making sure that you know who we're with today and what we're talking about. This is Mike Foster, and he is the founder and the author of People of the Second Chance. He heralds from the great city of San Diego, and it's great to have him on today. This is Tracy Wild. She is the author of a great book called Finding the Lost Art of Empathy, and is a dear friend, known her for a long time. This is my friend Propaganda, and he's an artist and has an album out called Crooked, and is from the great city of Long Beach, which is one of my favorite places in the world. And this is Bruce McNichol, and he's the president of True Face. It's an honor to have you on the show today, sir. We'll call it a show, but let's jump right into the first section of the film. I loved it. I loved the whole film. I don't know about you. Yeah. You could just agree right now and just go, yeah, it's the best film I've ever seen. Incredible. Okay, great. It was like Braveheart and then this. Great. But I love the opening because I was grabbed immediately. Yeah. And while I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, I've never seen the imagery in this way. The relationship with the son, the father, the table. I was thinking, gosh, who made that table? That's not Restoration Hardware, huh? But true. But I was thinking this table, this first section of the film, is it's so strong in its depiction. And I want to start by asking the question to you guys today: what am I being invited into with God? Is it good? Is it behavioral? Or is it relational? What jumped out to you in that first section? What are some things that you felt and noticed and thought of as we come to this first section at the table? What is this table? What does it represent as an invitation from the Father? I don't know if anybody, if Long Beach is over here, San Diego's over here, we got a president over here and an author over here. I don't know who we want to start with, but is there anybody that wants to take it first and go like, I thought this when I was watching that first section?
I'll jump in. Yeah, I think it's the sense of belonging, I think, for me, is what that table and what that moment kind of represents. And notwithstanding just how just beautifully shot it is, you know what I mean? Because that's one thing I've really had a hard time getting past, which is how visually amazing it was. Right. But I think the sense of belonging, and speaking from just sort of an inner city kid, you know what I'm saying? In even if you're trying to get your brain around how does a young man get involved in gang activity or why specifically in hip hop, why saying where you're from and your city, why is that so important? It's a sense of belonging, you know what I'm saying? Without getting too big, but just as an African American, there's really no homeland. You don't know, I don't know, I think somewhere in Africa, but that's the second largest landmass in the world, you know what I'm saying? So there's no sense of origins, right? At least that you learn in school, you know what I'm saying? So just this idea of but you belong, you're one of us, is something that has always sort of been something I've wrestled with and struggled with. Wow. But just the image of that is for me was that's immediately what I went to, was this sense of belonging, you know what I'm saying?
Powerful. Yeah. Powerful, absolutely. What about you, Bruce?
I caught from the Father's eyes the sense of embrace, that those are eyes that they are windows to his soul, and his soul says, I've got you. I'm embracing you, and I'm going to give you the best, better than you imagined. And I think the music, of the violin is illustrating that. So I loved the Father's eyes. It just melted me.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the question: is it good? And right now, when you're saying that, the eye contact, the warmth, it wasn't a look of behave this certain way and then you could belong. Yeah. It's you belong. I'm looking at you. You are, in other words, an apple to my eye. There's fondness. There's relationship here. There's you before you do any right note or playing behavior, you belong. And I think that struck me as well. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I think for me, as I looked at that scene, it was just a sense of safety, the sense of being accepted. I think everybody at the table in the movie, has has this real knowledge of our own brokenness and our past, our stories, and whatever they might be, whatever they might look like, that we could sit at a place and be accepted and belong. And I think it's in that sense of just feeling safety and knowing that, it's not all working great, it's not all perfect, but I can relax, I can enjoy a meal, I can be in community. And this to me is like the problem with so much of the dysfunction in our lives is that we feel afraid, that there's fear instead of love.
Wow.
And so as you said, that table, you're just sense like the foundational element is love, which is driving the safety, the belonging, the community, and I think the sense that it's going to be okay, whatever it is.
Right. Absolutely. I want to get back to that table in just a moment. I want to land on that for a moment. But Tracy, what was it for you watching that, going, this represents what to you, this first scene? What was your initial response watching that?
The first thing I thought was, this is how it's supposed to be.
Wow.
You know, like anybody, like we're all saying the same things. Like everybody has a seat at the table. Like here's a woman sitting at the table.
Right.
I put myself in that. Like everybody has a seat at the table.
Right.
And it was as if it is supposed to be, as it was always meant to be, just like Eden. You know, I had this picture of the garden. Like, you know, we've been exiled from the garden, but we're all trying to get back. Maybe I'm stretching the metaphor, but it was like the table is the garden. Like we're trying to get back there.
Right.
And you saw that picture in like the Father's eyes, and you see God welcoming you back to the table, no matter where you've been, no matter what happened, how much of exile you went through.
Right.
But to me, it was, this is how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. You could sense that right away. It not that it feels archaic, but there's no technology.
Right.
It's not in the city. You know, they shot it in Hawaii. My God, why weren't we invited? Could we not do the roundtable discussions
Wouldn't be a part of that.
in Kona?
Yeah, right.
I'm just proposing it for next time.
Just saying.
Or when we do Heart of Woman. Anyways, Chad, don't get carried away. Let's not get carried away. Let's stay focused. But I think that, you know, I'm glad you said Eden, because that was something I sensed was this is foreign. This is this possible? To have a relationship with the father, they're playing the violin together, and the connection is so strong. I want to connect with my dad that way.
Yeah.
I can connect with the Father in heaven this way. This is unbelievable. Wait, this table, this is like, we used to go to the Golden Corral, but this is better. Like, this trumps Old Country Town buffet. Like, this is unbelievable. I want to ask that second question now. The table. What does the table look like? I know in the movie we can draw, you know, some details from what the table looked like there. But what does that represent? The table. You kind of touched on that. Can we go back to you for a moment on that?
Yeah, I think the table is a place where I can bring my true self, that I can bring my whole story. I think so often we live in a day and an age, whether it's in a religious context or just a cultural context, where it is not safe to be myself.
Wow.
That there is always something that we're hiding or protecting and wanting to hold back or censor.
Sure.
And so the table is a place where hopefully it's a place of friendship. And whether I know your story or not, I know that you have both pain and beauty inside of you.
Yeah.
And that there's brokenness, but there's also this divinity inside of you. And that we can bring all of it and know that we are bonded by the sense of, at the table, we can be ourselves.
Right. Powerful. Bruce, what did you get?
I got a sense of the relationship coming from the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. The reason we respond to the table and all its relationship is that this is the way they live and love and lead together.
Right.
And they want us to be a part of that grace. And so it reminded me of the reason that this faith is a faith of relationship, because they've been living and loving this way for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, you could get a sense. We didn't just throw us together for Thanksgiving. This was not an event.
Yeah.
This is the lifestyle. This happens every day. This is part of our routine in this family. We're gathering, we're celebrating, we're talking, there's communication, and there is, like you said, there's safety here. And I think that's a big takeaway of this first scene of going, not only am I attracted to it, but do I have this? Do I enjoy this in my life? is this missing from my world? Because wow, does it look adventurous?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's definitely like the imagery jarring in the sense that like I'm such a city boy, so like not really an outdoorsman. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I think, is it cold?
Yeah.
Like, are they? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the idea that like, but gosh, it sure is beautiful. But I was struck with that none of that even mattered, or that no one's really trying to get the Father's attention. That he's just he's just there, and they're engaging in their own.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And for me, I think that that's such a great picture too of like you said, the relational part, but the interrelational between us around the table, where we're not like vying for his attention, and
Wow.
you understand what I'm saying? Like, no, we're good. I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
we're all good with him.
Yeah.
So that means like I'm free to just like be with my sisters, my brothers, you know what I'm saying, and just like and live life and enjoy the goodness of it,
Right.
without like worrying, am I offending this person, offending that person? Am I
Right.
taking too much?
Right.
You like me best, right? Like, we're still good? Like, no, like, it's not even like my concern right now.
Right.
You know, we're in this moment.
Right.
And I can enjoy my brother and my sisters.
That's
Yeah.
right. Because the way that I relate with the Father actually bleeds out to how I relate with other
Yeah.
people. And if I'm good with him, that means I am good with you.
Yeah.
And there is no disconnect within that. You could sense that there was a feeling of, there's no Cain and Abel.
Yeah, we're not in competition.
No, there's
you know?
no, that's the right word.
Yeah.
There's no competition because of how good we are with the Father. It's not even that there's has to be so much chemistry and camaraderie here. It goes back to this relationship. He's the one that's provided this. This is on his bill, but he's created this ecosystem for us to all rest in. Absolutely. Tracy, what are some thoughts you had about the table?
Yeah, and I think you referenced it just a little bit. It's like we didn't have all the things that distract us. Like there wasn't this disconnect between humanity, human to human. It was connection because we didn't have our phones. You know, you didn't have all these distractions, and maybe that is you're outside in the elements.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But there was just such a safety and a security in just communicating and community. And God created us to be together. He created us as relational beings. He created us for that community environment, and they were doing what they were created to do.
Right.
And they felt, like you were saying, they felt that connection with one another because they felt the connection and the security from their Father.
Absolutely.
And I loved that. It's like it made me want to go, okay, let's all go to dinner. You know, sometimes
Yeah.
we've done this with our friends, right? We'll all put our phones in the middle of the table.
Right.
The first person at dinner that picks up that phone, they're paying the whole bill. And it made me go, I want to do that more.
Right.
Because I want that connection with my friends, my family, the people that God's put in my world.
Right.
But we have to be, I think, intentional in doing that.
Totally. I think another thing that really stood out to me, there was two thoughts I had. Number one is, you alluded to this, it's the provision part of God. That God has provided not only a seat at the table, I thought of Mephibosheth. And unqualified, what's this guy doing at the table?
Yeah.
That all of us kind of feel that way, like, I don't belong at this table. Like, if you really knew the brokenness in my life, but the only reason why I've got a seat here is because that guy invited me. I know you might think I'm crazy, but I am, and I get to sit here. That's what's wild. That's grace. The Father has provided all of this, and He's invited people that might not even feel worthy to sit here. And you talked about that. Not even feel worthy, but we're sitting here at this table. I loved it. What a great first thing, because now you piqued my interest.
Yeah.
You touch some buttons right away that I'm going, okay, where is this going?
Yeah.
Why would anyone want to reject this?
Yeah, I even think of like just in me, like, if I'm honest, the cynicism that would almost like peek into this and want me to say that's corny because these people don't have a care in the world. I got a gang of cares. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, you could just sit down in the forest and enjoy yourselves. Must be
Yeah.
nice. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, it is.
Right.
It is nice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And yeah, you're right. They don't have a care. You know, but it's not like they don't have. Again, of course they have cares.
Right.
Of course they have passion. Of course they're bringing all those things to the table. And I
Right.
think that, again, if we lean in, it's like, yo, that's the point. You know what I'm saying? The cynicism that flares up is because, again, you feel like you don't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
Right?
Like it's
Right.
too good to be true.
It's too
Right.
good to be true. This
Right,
is not
right,
my reality.
right.
But yes, it is.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
that, like, that's the great that makes me, again, as a Christian, say I have to stay into this film because I don't want to believe that this is possible.
Right.
You know.
I don't want to believe that this is possible, even in the sense of multi-generational.
Yeah.
This is the table in this scene especially is a picture of family. And immediately I was going like, I want this with my dad, and I want this with my family. There is no chaos. There is no brokenness.
No family drama.
There's no family drama.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
Like, what did you guys do that we didn't do? You know, like the table is a representation of relationship, right relationship. And I looked at the first scene and I thought, okay, I'm down. I keep watching. Yeah. You know, one of the things that really jumped out to me was the violin and the relationship. And I don't know if you noticed, but when we got a shot of the back of that violin, it was a Hebrew word there. It's the word timshel, which really means thou mayest. And right from the beginning, the movie is alluding to the reality that you and I have free will. This is our choice. We have this opportunity to come to a table. We have this relationship with the Father, but none of it's forced. It's there for the taking, but it's your decision. What are some impressions you guys had as you saw that in the violin and the reality of that?
Well, I was curious what, I could tell it was Hebrew
Yeah.
because I studied it. No big deal.
Yeah.
But not enough to know what it said.
This is awkward because I read it. I was like, oh, Timshel.
Oh, weird.
That's funny.
I was curious, like, what does that mean? What is that word? And,
Right.
But yeah, and like in understanding now the context of it, it makes so much sense to that open scene of it was a choice. You sensed that. No one was being forced. No one felt like they had to sit there and stay there, and no one seemed
Right.
awkward.
Right.
But that's just who God is. God has given us this opportunity, and He welcomes us. And it was welcome. It was like there was such a sense of people could come and go as they please, but everyone wanted to stay there once they got there. They just
Amazing.
felt that.
I think that because I same thing. I was like, oh, it's cool. He chiseled a Hebrew word in there. I wonder what it means. But you saying that actually, I think lays another layer of complexity in the sense that like that choice was a gift. You know what I mean? So it's not autonomy, but it's the gift of choice. You understand what I'm saying?
Beautiful.
Which
Yes.
still says, as a father, that no. I love you, and there's still an element of you're not out of my care.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So in the midst of my care, I'm going to hand you free will, right?
Wow.
So to me, it's like that, because autonomy is terrifying,
Right.
you know. But I think that in the context of my Father's love for me, I'm handing you this choice. And now knowing that that's what that says, like I think it speaks much more
Right.
volumes. to
Right.
me now.
Tagging on that, I felt like the Father was saying, I'm going to coax you, I'm going to nudge you, I'm going to invite you to trust me. And to trust me maybe more than you trust yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
That really got to me when I saw the interaction with the violin going on there. You going to trust me, or are you going to trust yourself?
Wow. So powerful.
Yeah, I think it just speaks to the heart of God, that the dominant, overwhelming expression of God is love. And love comes, at the expression of love then is freedom, the sense of choice, where the opposite of love is fear, and fear, the expression of fear is control and compliance and gripping, versus a sense of love is a surrender.
Right.
To say, I love you enough. I believe in you enough. I have created you in my image. You will make the right choice. Now, we make many wrong choices.
Sure.
But all of it, to me, every right choice, wrong choice, is about God actually moving us closer to knowing His love.
Right.
And so I'm not afraid of actually bad choices.
Right.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's part of the plan. Because I think one of the things that's so beautiful about the beginning of the story of the banqueting table is that, yes, it's a perfect picture of love and acceptance and beauty, but the table's going to get better as the movie goes along. Right?
Yeah.
Because we're going to see some different choices that make that experience even richer when we come back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought laying this foundational piece from the start of the movie was so critical to me, because I think you see the table, you see the violin, you see the intimacy, you see the eye contact, you see the beauty of a relationship with a father, and it's basically saying like, hey, at any point, this is still your choice. All of this is here. You have the opportunity anytime you want. You've got your seats waiting for you. We'd love to be partying with you and in community and in relationship, but just so you know, we're never going to force this on you. This is, I always want to play with you. I always want to commune with you.
Yo.
But this is your choice.
But you said a mouthful with the word with.
Yeah.
And it's not you're playing for me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Or I'm gonna, and it's
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah.
You ready, son? Like,
Right.
and that participation
Right.
in not only who I am, but who the Father is.
Right.
Notwithstanding when this kid learned how to play the violin. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if there's some sort of like assumed narrative,
You're right.
that when you talked about being your true self, like I wonder if that kind of sings to that, like the true self, like when
Right.
it dances with the Father, like you're making
Right.
music with him.
Yes,
You know what I mean? Like
yes.
that's who you really are.
Wow.
And like you said, yeah, it's up to you. But what I'm trying to tell you is this is who you really are.
Right.
And that's amazing.